Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this session today. My name is Alejandro Gutierrez. I'm a faculty lecturer and an academic program coordinator for the graduate certificate in data analysis for complex systems and data-driven decision making. And it's a pleasure to be here to talk about data analytic systems. Today, the session is titled The Perfect Analytic System, how it works and how to build it, presented by Nick Valiotti. And to get started, we're going to start with the land acknowledgement that Magiel has prepared. Excellent. To make this session more enjoyable on your side, we have a few recommendations. If you are connected using a VPN, we suggest you disconnect because that will improve the quality of the video and the audio. You are automatically muted. If you want to interact with the presenter, you can use the Q&A function or the chat function that you have available as part of WebEx. One member of the McGill team will organize the questions and we'll try to introduce them as the presenter discusses the different topics, or we will allocate a few minutes at the end where we will discuss these questions. The session is being recorded and it will be posted as part of the McGill YouTube channel. In particular in the School of Continuing Studies YouTube channel. So you can check it after, share it, and you will also receive an email after the session with the link. The session is structured in two parts primarily. First, Nick will guide us through the content, and then at the end, 10 to 15 minutes close to the hour, we will discuss some of the questions received from the audience. And with all that, well, Nick, thank you for being here. We're very interested to know more about analytic systems. The floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So before we dive into today's session, let's warm up with a small kind of ice-breaking questions. How's the weather out there? Where are you connecting from? Let me know in the chat. So then we can start kind of engagement between us. We'll wait for some of your responses. Very nice, Montreal, and hopefully I thought everybody will from Montreal. But I've seen also the meeting was shared within LinkedIn, so probably there are some different locations. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. I will start sharing my presentation. Here it is. So today we will talk about the perfect analytics system and how we actually are building it for several different companies. Usually we work with digital-oriented companies, edtechs, e-commerce, mobile applications, software as a service providers, all of them. And let me first start with introducing myself. So my name is Nick, as you've already have heard about it, and I'm a consultant and entrepreneur and data enthusiast. I started my journey in the world of data in 2009 when I started my career as a data analyst. So actually it was a kind of a job where I've applied as an assistant to marketing department. And first I've been engaged to build kind of different databases for competitors analysis. But I also started to learn a lot about machine learning, data science. Those days we actually call it data mining. So starting from this period, I was super interested in data analytics, and I even proposed the company I was working on to implement different techniques of machine learning. For instance, they built with me kind of the customer segmentation using the Cummins algorithm, and they even were able to identify different clubs of their customers based on the customer behavior. So, and then I also spent like more than 15 years working with different companies, with telco, with e-commerce, large e-commerce, retail, and also different startups. And one day in 2019, I decided to own my own data consultancy, Valiotti Analytics. And there are like a few labels to my name in this slide. So yeah, I started my company. I before even get my PhD in data science and machine learning, since I was building kind of a neural network, the old way of building like neural networks where you have like back propagation algorithm and you need to just, build kind of a architecture, and my thesis was how to evaluate different business decisions based on like nonlinear approach. And for this reason, I used the neural networks. And after getting my PhD, I decided that I'm interested in getting some different education, and I applied to be kind of a student of Georgia Tech University in the United States. And this year I finally finished this master degree, and now I get this label on my name as well. So now I'm even kind of a master of analytics. And when I'm not working with the data, you can find me usually playing tennis and now sometimes even paddle, or exploring the sunny island of Cyprus, where I'm based in with my family. It's not a big country, very small, in the middle of like Africa, Asia, and Europe. However, it belongs to Europe. And I'm excited to talk today with you. And as we begin our journey to discover the world of end-to-end analytics, here is like kind of a brief plan what we are going to cover today. And there are usually four main stages of working on an analytics project. We will discover all of them, but from the very first, the brief stage, we start from the stage, and finally we finish with the like design and dashboard as the final stage. So, and today we will go through this entire process, and I will showcase you something that we built for our different customers. Now, let me give you some background about my customer. This is a Refocus company. It was like a service provider and a tech space. It's a tech startup. And we will be using their company as a key example to our today's session. So they were based in Southeast Asia, and they help different students to build skills in digital professions. With my team, we worked with them for almost 2 years. And during this period, we were building end-to-end analytics for Refocus. We started from scratch, and then we started to cover marketing, sales, product, HR, all of the different departments and processes they had. And within just 1 year of working with them, they grew from like 50K to 1.2 million in a year. Hopefully it was because of the analytics we built for them. And I believe it's actually impossible to do it without any analytics that they potentially could have. And like by automating data processes, we help them like to grow really faster and more efficiently. But I will get into more of these details later in the session. There is a little spoiler. This is what like the final product of what we do looks like. So, and I will be able to share some of these examples in more like kind of interactive way to you. So we will touch a little bit some reports and dashboard they have. And to kick things off, I'd like to talk about how this project typically starts. And the first stage is of the project like this is to understand the scope of work we are doing. And so how it is happen? Like we usually hold a collaborative session with our customer, and we fill out the brief together with my technical specialist and with some technical oriented people on the customer side. And for those who will be like building their analytical skills, this is where we try not to just build different SQL, reports, Python, dashboards, whatever, but it's more about like understanding and frame business problems in the data terms. And this is how the brief looks like in my company. It covers the fundamentals of what we need to know to work on the project. We start with the simple like understanding what is the goal and what kind of result is expected, what state of the company's analytics they currently have, and what tools they are using now. So the result of this stage usually is a kind of a commercial proposal where we have like timelines, volumes, and costs that we calculated based on the overall information that we get having the brief. And then when we have all this information and we started the project, we go to the next stage. And this is like kind of an interesting stage because we are trying to audit everything they have right now. And usually this is a critical step where we like dig deep into the company's data structure. And conducting an audit, we trying to identify data gaps and like trying to offer some recommendations how to improve it. And I will guide you a little bit through the standard analytics documentation files that we have. Probably these links will open and I will be able to share it with you. So this is like kind of the usual documentation process we are building. And we begin with a section on data sources. There you can see like some various systems where we pull data from, a CRM system, some kind of a billing, Calendly, ClickUp, Discord, Google Sheets, whatever. There are lots of things they had, and they are all integrated into our like analytical system. Also, here, what do we have also? We have data sources, and then we have some kind of a knowledge base. Because it's more like kind of an essential thing we are trying to build for our customer. And you can see like kind of a very detailed information about how the dashboard was built. What was the original task to build this dashboard? What was the data source we had and how looks like the design? Also, you will understand some very specific details, how the specific metric was calculated. Also, you will see how the like algorithm was applied, because it's crucial to understand it if somebody will like change their role in the company, or potentially people will like leave the company and new people will be hired. So there you will be able to at least understand how the report was structured, and it allows you to quickly understand what was the original idea of the report. In this stage of like the documentation, we also trying to describe how the data merging works, what is the general architecture of the like the project we are building. There are also kind of specific tools will be mentioned, and like some like description how we are building the like the data pipelines and the data architecture for the company. And the next stage is like based on all this information that we have right now, after we like fill in the audit process, we are trying to build and design like storage facilities. And actually this is where the data like analytics or data engineering is about. 80% of our work, we are just spending time on building the data warehouse and data pipelines. And so we know how to organize the data from different sources. we know how to merge it, and this is the most important part, because it will allow you to scale your data analytics in case you will not prepare the data engineering layer. Probably you will have a lot of different problems and issues with the BI layer, because you will need to reproduce several calculations, transformations, merging processes within your BI layer. Instead of it, you can do it within your like transformation layer, which is something we built for the customer here. And now, when it comes to databases, we usually work with kind of fully automated data infrastructure. And usually data comes from multiple sources into the central data warehouse. And we like trying to ensure smooth operations without any bottlenecks. And I will show a little bit later how this modern database looks like. And I will explain how this infrastructure is maintained. And like being familiar with this technical stack is also a very important skill for data analyst and data engineer. And now I will, just showcase you a little bit about the Apache Airflow as an orchestrator tool that allows us to pull data from different sources and to understand was it successful or not. And now let me ask you, how have you interacted with your data in your career so far? Do you like collected data manually, or did you use any automation tools? And what data sources have you worked with? Or which one would you like to explore? Let me know and drop some comments into the chat into now our Q&A session. And while you are writing something, I will showcase a little bit more about the idea of Apache Airflow, why is needed, and what is going on here. So basically we have lots of different jobs, and all of these jobs allows us to grab some particular piece of information which is very important for us to have in our data analytics system. And for instance, here we have like the attack load ammo leads. You see there are 847 runs, which 5 of them was unsuccessful. And we also can see here the schedule. So basically the job will run each 8 hours, and we see also the last like run of the job. And for us, it is super important information. Why so? Because if we fail something, let's say we have these 5 different failures, we know when exactly it has happened, and then the data engineer, he will be able to fix it quickly. He will get an alert that something has been broken. For instance, usually the problem will be like you have kind of a CRM system in place, and then somebody renamed the attribute or changed the column type or something like that. And because of it, the data is not pulling properly, and you can't store it within your like current data warehouse. And then you will have a problem. And you can usually what happened. So basically, the like probably I don't know, chief marketing officer or chief product officer, he's looking into the dashboard, or she's looking into the dashboard, and they don't see like the real relevant data right now. And they are asking their data analyst what has happened, why the data is not correct right now. And we think shouldn't be the case, because instead what you need is some kind of automation system in place which will tell you exactly that there was a problem and you have to fix this issue. So you need to, like your data engineer need to know about it, and this is how it's usually set up. So you will be, it is just easier to maintain, and it's like, you have all information in place, you have alerts and everything. And now Alejandro wanted to say something?
Yes. Well, I just want to mention that we have a few responses in the chat.
Very nice.
I see that many of us have experience dealing with more basic architectures. So sometimes we are dealing with Excel files. Sometimes we're dealing with more manual collections. So what are your recommendations in those cases when companies are early in their automation process?
Yeah, I mean, like for some period of time, it is absolutely okay to have this kind of Google Sheets. Everybody has Google Sheets, and we need just from time to time continue to use it. But I mean, like if you're more in a way of how to scale it. For instance, what we usually see and why people are trying to automate. Because, for instance, a person, let's say, has a role of a marketing specialist, and he or she is willing to improve and spend more of his time building these marketing campaigns, marketing strategy, and they don't have this time because they need to pull the data manually, collect and compile different wrappers, and usually it takes a lot of time. And what's more, it even leads to different mistakes in the data, since you need to copy data from one place to another place, and all of this is manually. And because of it, you can also like spend the budget incorrectly. And usually this is the case where you start to understand that this is not the role of the marketing guy to just compile different wrappers. Instead of it, you can just automate the processes of data collection and then build kind of like a BI wrapper that helps them to just not wasting their time, which is also like kind of very important time if a company would love to scale and they need more marketing efforts instead of just analytical efforts from the marketing specialist. Yeah, so usually it's like it is coming a little bit later when the company is growing.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully I've answered
And
this
we
question.
also have people with experience in multiple other kinds of sources. So I think we have a good range of skills in the audience.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. And so basically, now regarding the storage, uh, in this project, our data was securely stored in the Google Cloud Storage. And this cloud storage ensures scalability, reliability, and easy access. So all collected and processed data is organized in a cloud storage, and it allows for like seamless integration with analytical tools like BigQuery and then Tableau. And in this case, we used BigQuery as a database and data warehouse. I will just show quickly what we have here. So as I mentioned, we have like kind of different data sources. So we structure the data warehouse the way we have data from all the sources. And it is within one data warehouse. Why so? Because we need to merge this data and we need to build kind of different transformation layer on top of this data. We need to match different user IDs or phone numbers or something else to build kind of a comprehensive report that will show us the customer acquisition cost versus like lifetime value of a customer. So for this reason, we need to have all of this in place because we will then merge and compile all the data all together. And for instance, if you are about to collect data from your CRM system, you need to capture all the data points and you need to capture all information about your leads. And here's just a simple like database structure. You will see like kind of in the preview what's good about like data warehouse instead of like Google Sheets. You don't have any limits about storing your data. So and it will not like decrease the performance so much if you will store like thousands, millions, hundreds of millions rows in the analytical database. That's why we are like jumping from the Google Sheets to such database as a BigQuery. So and then talking about like all together. And everything we have covered, it's like from data collection and merging to storage and dashboard creation. It's kind of a automated data management system. So this system is like streamlines the entire process and ensure data flows from various sources, and it's like it's processed efficiently and it is making the data available for actionable insights in real time. And so with automation in its core, a system reduces manual work, minimizes errors, and maximizes the impact of the data and for like different business decisions. Maybe there are some questions before we move on to the next stage. Let me know if so.
No questions in the audience, but I have one, Nick, if you don't mind. We are seeing that it's a good amount of work, what happens before you actually start with the analysis. So my question is, in terms of the team that you need to put in place for these kinds of projects, does this 80% also translates into the necessary labor or person that you need to hire? Do you hire a big number of data engineers first, and then you start to bring the data analysts, or how do you structure the team and the workload distribution? Considering that, again, just putting the data together is a huge challenge in most projects.
Yeah. Well, this is a two-sided process actually, because when we are dealing with the customer, we have to talk with him at first. Like, first of all, we need to understand kind of like the data and analytics requirements. And usually this is done by data analyst because he will be like responsible for creating different dashboards and reports. He or she needs to understand the goal, the metrics, the KPIs, everything about like what will be calculated in the final reports and dashboard. Okay. And after we have all of this information collected from the customer, then there comes into play data engineer, because based on the kind of a data analyst technical requirements, the data engineer will go and start pulling information, merging and transforming it. And this project, there was 4 people working. There was 2 analysts and 2 engineers in place. But I mean, like now, probably it could be done within like 2 or 3 people. I still suggest like splitting the roles between like data engineer and data analyst. Because it's like really 2 different parts of the job. So better to focus on data engineering. There is like several approach, different like skills you need to acquire, and in data analytics the same. So it's better to split these roles.
Okay, that's interesting. So you need the data analyst first to validate that the dashboards, the solution is viable, and then you bring the data engineering team to actually build all these pipelines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. So if there are any other questions, I will interrupt.
Sure. Of course, no problem. So now let's talk a little bit about how we are building our dashboards, and this is one of the exciting parts of the process. And again, we start like by gathering different requirements from stakeholders. We need to learn what decisions they need to make and what data they rely on. You see, there are lots of different questions about how we can understand what drives them to build a dashboard. And we interview and use this questionnaire on how the dashboard is going to be used and what's expected of it. This is more like kind of an open conversation with them. Just, of course, we have the script for this, but I mean, like, it's more like trying to understand the real use case of the dashboard they are going to have. And now, when we have all the information in place, we feel kind of the dashboard canvas. And this canvas, it's kind of a draft for the future dashboard. And it's mostly for us just to structure all the information we get from the customer. And we note down what the dashboard will include, what metrics it will track, and what type of visualization it will use. So you will see like there are even some kind of a mock-up visualization in it. So it's more about like just writing down all the thoughts we have in a structured way. And then after that, we move into the design of a mock-up of a dashboard. This is the first prototype of the future dashboard. And at this stage, you don't need any colors or charts or something like that. And the point is only to create a draft or a schema of how the blocks of the dashboard will be positioned. And the customer usually he like confirms that, yeah, this is something we are looking for. So we need this and we need this and we need to use these like filters and parameters. And this is how we are going to like achieve all and how we are going to find all answers on our questions. And after that, there is kind of an aesthetic part comes into play. So we design the dashboard based on the mockup. And like different modern visualization tools such as Tableau allows us to build highly customized systems where users they can adjust the data visualization to whatever palette they have, different styles and color branding. And then I think like there is a stage where we just test and maintain the dashboard to make sure it's like accurate enough, all the data is consistent. And sometimes we even go further and we can polish the design. So you see in this screen, there are two different dashboards of completely the same numbers and figures, but the right version of it is more like in the brand design of the customer. And so this is how it can look like for different customers. And here we can move into the kind of interactive part of my today's keynote. So I will showcase you quickly some examples of what we've built in the Tableau for this customer. I will showcase you probably a few versions of the dashboard, and this is interesting because it is exactly how they like use the dashboard, and this is a little bit dummy data in it since we can't like share all the information. It's confidential, but still the idea is the same. Like you see, like on this screen, we have like overall costs of the customer, total like amount of money spent on the marketing, and also there is like a split only this month. Then they will have the qualified like cost of the lead, and also return on market investment. This dashboard is also like highly interactive because here you can manage the dates. So you can check different date range and everything will be filtered. You can tune the metrics you have. So instead of costs, you can see impressions, you can see the customer acquisition cost, and also you can see like maybe return on marketing investment in dynamics of it. And you can change the granularity to, let's say, monthly granularity. And you will have all this information in one screen. And what's more, you can use these, like, you have these charts on the right, which shows you the funnel, the region, the source. And for instance, if you are interested in the Facebook data only, you can see this, like how many campaigns was built in Facebook, 1,945. But you also can click on this bar and the dashboard will be filtered accordingly. So it's like it will show only the Facebook data right now. And this is a tool for a marketing person to have in place. Also, you can combine these filters. So if I click here for the data analyst course, so it basically shows me this subset of data related to data analyst within the Facebook data source. And I can also even go further. I can just click for the webinar. Now I have webinar data analyst in Facebook, only in Philippines, let's say. And again, it will be filtered. You see, everything changes the data. Even further, we can go in this. So we can even go into the campaign name. And if you're like a marketing guy, you will go into details. You will see kind of trends and dynamics of a certain campaigns or audiences or creatives. But I know some marketing people, they use a different view for this. Before I will go into this view, I will show you some also interesting part of the dashboard. Usual thing is to have like data update time, since it will allows you to understand when the data was updated, and you don't need to like ask to refresh something. You just see that it was updated this time and date. This will allow you to understand how each metric were calculated, because let's say here traffic quality is kind of a complex metric. It was introduced by a certain marketing guy, and everybody needs to understand what it means actually. And so when we have all this tooltip in place, we have also a different view. As I mentioned before, it is a view of a marketing standard way of reporting. It's like a table where you see all the campaigns, all the cost related, all the impressions, clicks, CTR, CPM, all this stuff, revenue, average order value. So it allows you to track everything from the money you spend on the marketing campaign to even understanding the revenue and money you earn from this campaign. This is a real end-to-end analytics that we have and this customer had in place. So that was super helpful for them to quickly identify the new opportunities and some irrelevant campaigns or like creatives that they need to turn off. Another example will be in this sales related thing. So it's more like it's also kind of, I will not go into so much details here, but I will just showcase you quickly what we have here. It's the same kind of like KPIs, and this dashboard also allow you to have like kind of a run rate prediction, because it shows you like the revenue for 14, 7 days, this month, and all this stuff. So it's helpful for them to understand what's going on with the revenue. Then there are some other KPIs and the same like filters you can apply. But in terms of like more like, it's usually we call this overview dashboard. So the dashboard shows you some trends, dynamics, and you can drill down into several like dimensions. But also there could be like more of a dashboard that shows you what you need to do exactly right now with your sales force, let's say. For instance, here there is a dashboard that allowed them to identify how many leads they should assign on a salesperson. Because here they had like a dynamics of each salesperson and how many leads were obtained, how many leads were closed. And here the idea of the dashboard, you can click on each person, and the right part of it will be filtered accordingly. So here we will have the dynamics of this salesperson and how he is like in relation to other salespersons. And then based on all of this information, they identify how many leads they need to assign on a single person. Yeah, I think probably there was some question.
Yes, Nick, one question related to Power BI. If you have some experience with Power BI,
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
and if
sure.
you
It's
can compare the two products and tell us what is your experience and why would you recommend one or the other?
both tools are great. I just prefer more Tableau since I'm working on the Mac. And Power BI is a little bit kind of a nightmare on the Mac, since you need to run parallels and kind of a windows within the Mac, and to build like kind of a different dashboard, since the Power BI desktop application is only available on Windows. So for an end user, it is okay to use Power BI wrappers on any platform, but for a developer, it's a little bit kind of a tricky to do it. Meanwhile, if you have a Windows machine, no worries at all, the Power BI is good enough. Power BI is absolutely similar in terms of like how many different types of visualization you can include. It can basically reproduce pretty the same report or dashboard that you can build in Tableau. Moreover, in Power BI, you have like some opportunities using DAX as a Microsoft specific like data-oriented language to build all up based calculation. In Tableau, it's more like about like just building some wrappers and dashboard. But in Tableau, you also have like kind of like extract option, which is a nice tool to build several wrappers and dashboard on huge data sets and to process them within the Tableau infrastructure. In terms of like data visualization, maybe it's just a little bit more beautiful on Tableau. This is just my personal experience and my personal taste of how the visualization should look like. But I feel like they are pretty they can do the same functionality when you are dealing with reports and dashboards.
Thank you, Nick, for the answer, and Mona for the question. And
Yeah,
I
sure.
have a follow-up question, if you don't mind, Nick, connected to skills, because what skills would you recommend for someone that is interested in becoming a data analyst, data scientist, or data engineer, considering that there is a huge range of tools? And do you recommend that you learn and specialize in a particular tool, or do you recommend that professionals acquire more horizontal skills and learn more the fundamentals? What is your view when you are hiring for these roles?
A few years ago, probably I will answer you that we need SQL, Python, Tableau, all this stuff, and then we can decide who will be more suitable for the role. But now I would say a little bit different. In my experience right now, the most important part of each candidate on different roles is the fundamental education, such as understanding of databases, understanding of algorithms, understanding of maybe even linear algebra, because it's more about how you are thinking of solving complex problems. Because all the rest, I mean, new DBT, YAML, Looker, all these semantic languages, if you can think about how the data structures are, how do they work, you will quickly understand what to do, because it's no more than just new syntax to learn. On the other hand, if the person never had any experience with the fundamentals such as database, what it is, how it's built, and they only trying to learn SQL and Python, and they learn how to just solve some tasks within the database. There are lots of resources where you can just grab the specific task and you will build the SQL query, and you will understand how to build this SQL query. But the problem is, since in the real world there is no pre-built tasks that we need to acquire, which we need to solve some complex problems, and sometimes we just need to think through it. So just to build new algorithm to tackle the problem. And in my experience right now, the most important part of the candidate's skills is this way of thinking about the problems and the fundamentals.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, and maybe one more example, and then we can go back to the presentation. This is the report I showed in the very beginning, and this is the interactive way of it. So I mean, it wasn't just a static picture, but it was the same. This is super relevant to any online school. So how to understand how many students do they have, how many of them are active. You need to understand the percent of active, how many applied for refund, and then you will see the dynamics, and you can also again change the granularity. You can go into details, and you can specify and break down it by cohort. So it's just way of track the students and what's going on with them. And I will also quickly showcase one example of how we identify the insight based on this activity. When we build this activity report, they also asked us to build a new version of it, a little bit different, but it's super helpful for them to grow their business. And let's talk about it a little bit. So here, what do we have? It is like the refund rate. So what does it mean? It means if a student was registered on 1st of May, basically in all the May as a month, and we have we had there 477 different students. There is a percentage of how many of them are making refunds. So quarter of them they are making a refund until the 10th month of their journey, and they were trying to understand what's going on. And one day they identify that refund is coming from like until this September cohort. So they were trying to fix it, and then this cohort analytics, they show them that there was slight decrease of the amount of refunds. So they changed a little bit the product. So then they were able to track it and understand how the change affected the new students that were coming. And this type of reports actually shows you how you can monitor and change and track changes in the different newcomers activity. So this is like a cohort analytics. All right, let's get back to the presentation. So here we talked a little bit about the different real world examples of the dashboards. And now I will just talk a little bit about the dashboard itself. So they usually simplify decision-making process, and as like analysts or managers, you can translate your raw data into the actionable insights, as I mentioned, in several different ways how they deal with it. And these insight they can optimize business processes, improve performance, and make some informed decisions. For example, Refocus used the dashboards to track ad spendings, and also they could understand the team productivity, as I mentioned, with this sales report, and it helped them to grow rapidly. And so another example of how they just benefit from their data is like they measured application processing speed and discovered that taking longer than 15 minutes to respond to a lead was like costing some potential revenue loss. And like acting on this data helped them to increase their profits. And let's like just wrap up and reflect on what we've covered today. Can you now see how analytics can help you in your future career? And what aspects are you most interested in? Data collection, visualization, or like delivering insights? And feel free to ask any questions. I'm here to help you. This is everything I had for today.
Thank you so much, Nick. I have a question related to, projects in general. How are you considering using technologies like ChatGPT as part of these projects? Or are you considering these technologies at all? Or is that not one area that you see value in the context of these kinds of projects?
Well, a few years ago when it started to raise, we were really concerned about what we will do in the future, since it's kind of ChatGPT should replace the data analyst, and so we were like scared a little bit. What's more, we even started to build our own SQL data analyst, and if you will Google or what I'm saying, if you will search in the ChatGPT about like how to build SQL data analytics, you will find my bot here. So we decided to, if somebody is going to replace ourselves, maybe we will do ourselves replacing ourselves. And we started to create this ChatGPT, actually it is called GPT. So it's a prompt which allows you to build SQL statements. We built something like you can upload the entity relation diagram, and it will help you to build SQL statement. And it works really great for like small databases with like 5 to 10 different tables in it, with about 15 to 20 columns in each database. But when we are talking about like high scale and high load databases with complex logic in it, different unclear joins without any clear data description, with different layers of how the data is processed. Like there is maybe some kind of a real-time data streaming, and then we need to store it somewhere, and then we have like some SQL related data warehouse. That is not ChatGPT is actually capable of. So we don't believe it will somehow affect our job right now, since it's kind of a stupid junior right now. So it's like more like it can allow you to just build simple routine tasks, and sometimes we use it. For instance, we need to just build simple query, and it will be easier to ask ChatGPT to do it instead of spending some time of a data analyst. But when it comes to, I don't know, building dashboards, as I mentioned today, it is like creative, and sometimes it's a little bit more design plus analytics role, and still I don't feel it is possible to do it with this level of quality with ChatGPT right now. But I mean, it is going further in terms of like understanding, and of course there are some even there is a specific term called RAG, retrieve augmented documentation, for the ChatGPT. So it will allow you to enhance the ChatGPT understanding, and everything goes to like replace several different parts of the process. That will definitely happen, because let's say you have kind of a task where you need to describe how the database is structured, which is super simple, since human is going and reading table names, table columns, and then it translated to the different description model. And this is something ChatGPT can do, but I mean like more like a complex SQL logic with different joins, with complex joins, with algorithms applied, still is not so capable of doing so.
Okay, so it's for basic functions, for basic SQL
Yeah,
statements as part of the workflow,
yeah,
but you need to know the fundamentals to actually being able to produce more sophisticated statements or more
yeah,
sophisticated solutions. Okay,
yeah,
very interesting. Thank you. And we have received a couple of questions
sure.
from the audience. Gerson is asking what topics in linear algebra will be the most useful to learn.
I don't know. I mean, like, maybe in machine learning, you will need kind of matrix manipulations, or, for instance, um, let's say you are working on a support vector machine algorithm, you have to understand all the linear algebra in its core. Like you need to just it is just how the algorithm is working. I mean, as for me, it's like more like it's just tricky a little bit to sometimes deal with matrix manipulation, with understanding how we apply certain rules to the matrices, and how we usually try to find a solution. This is something is not a specific topic as for me. Generally, understanding how linear algebra is working and trying to solve some complex tasks allows your brain to just develop itself. So it's more like trying to find new solutions to the task, which is probably even little unclear to you. And this is something I believe an analyst should have as a skill in his like core, because it's like finding new solutions where you don't know what to do, because usually you don't know what to do and you need to find these data insights. Nobody tell you which insights you have to find. You just need to do some exploration.
That's a great answer, Nick. And if you allow me to add a little bit from my
Sure,
perspective
of
as
course,
part of
of
the
course.
faculty team at the School of Continuing Studies, we have programs that have integrated the fundamental knowledge that you need to know in terms of linear algebra, statistics, probability. And Nabil Betanjani, a colleague who is the academic program coordinator of different data-related programs, answer in the chat some areas that Gerson can study. Again, thank you, Nabil, for the answer. And if you're interested in learning more about what topics, please check our programs. There is one called Data Analytics for Business, Data Science and Machine Learning, and Apply Artificial Intelligence. And those are non-credit programs available for students that do have a technical bachelor, or if you are more on the business side, we also have a program for you. And if we have time for one more question, Nick, connected to when you're working with clients who are new to analytics or are unsure about what metrics they want to see in dashboards, how do you guide them as part of this identification of the dashboards and the metrics? And this is coming from CJ and Michael.
I'm not sure I get the question in its core, but probably this is kind of about the maybe knowledge transfer between ourselves and the customer. Maybe it's
yes. How do you do that? How do you guide the conversation about their goals? Do you have, for example, workshops with them to try to
of course.
So how do you work that part of transferring what you want into converting it into something that we can actually build as part of the analytics solution?
Usually for us it's kind of extended call with the customer, and we started with, like, as I mentioned, there was like a document called brief. There are like about 7 different pages of what we need to identify within the customer setup right now, just to at least have some understanding of their business, of what they are doing, how they are working right now. Did they have any approach to analytics before us? Why did they end up if they had? So something like that. And this is like, it's a conversation with a document as a fundament for us to ask several questions. And after all, when we have this brief and we start the project, there are like several one-on-one interviews with the stakeholder in the company. So for instance, now we were building like an audit process for one psychological service on the web, and they had like a CTO, CMO, HR director, the founder, and we had to interview all of them just to understand why do they need any data, how they solved their any requirement on the data before, who was building for them it manually, why and how they did it. So everything, and this is it is now we have hopefully all of us, we have this AI note taker tools which help us a lot. So when we are dealing with this such of interviews, we have a summary from this AI note takers, and we then can at least structure all of the stuff we get from the customer, and then we just compile pieces of information together. Because if somebody is talking about like maybe some specific metric and another guy is talking about some specific metrics, we have to understand if they are talking about these metrics equally. I mean, they are having the same meaning for this metric.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. Well, it's close to 12 o'clock. So we're going to wrap up the session. Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Nick, for the presentation. Thank you to all the attendees. It's been a pleasure. And
thank you, everybody.
until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.